Hello and welcome back to TNN's coverage of the world's 9 best fantasy football players league. I'm your host, and this is what we have for you this week. Week 10 is now behind the league, and we saw some shocking results. Here is Timmy Shades to break down last week's action.
Timmy Shades here, back for another edition of the Timmy Skinny. I heard Joe loved the turtleneck, so I had to throw it back on, and here's what happened in Week 10. First up, the SWAT team blew the doors off Mahorny, and this matchup was such a huge blowout that I heard there was zero tension between the two roommates last week. Also, has anyone noticed that Mahorny sounds really close to Mahoney? Bad vibes. Next, we saw Hammond take down the Chung guy. And let's all just be happy that Will set his lineup, you know? Good job, Will. Hammond keeps it rolling, and maybe I shouldn't have made fun of Brett's division drafting last week. So, next, we saw the Bandits smoke the Coochie Gang, and people are starting to wonder if Justin Herbert will just forever be cursed, putting up great stats for a bad team. For the Bandits, all I got is death, taxes, foyer Luacan. Team Vanek slipped by slob on my Dobbs, and I think Nooch has to start Josh Dobbs now because Haley Steinfeld might have ruined Josh Allen's career. Dare I say, worth it? For Team Vanek, the headline is, we might be good. How about that? We then saw UNL upset the brick walls, and sometimes the bad guys win. And by sometimes, I mean exactly twice. Lastly, the Nudes wiggled their way past Blood, Sweat, and Beers, and everyone would probably be talking about all of Lamar's turnovers if Josh Allen wasn't a guy. And I gotta say, those BSB boys really don't play like they're tanking, so hats off to the coaching staff over there, doing a great job. And finally, our one big thing this week is that the league is real crowded at the top. Team Vanek sitting pretty at second place, and then there's a whole bunch of teams just right below them. So should be a really fun, electric last stretch of the season. Good luck to all the teams. See y'all next week.
In some big league history, Mike Visconti had to admit defeat on his bet with Brett that Mac Jones was, in fact, good. TNN reached out to see how he was coping. Responding. And now, here's Danny Football with his picks for Week 11. Hey, what's up, guys? The world's 9 best fantasy football players expert, Danny Football here, back with another week of expert predictions. Last week, pretty good for me, going 5-1, bringing my total on the year up to a very nice 39-21. My guest, Joe, did not have that great of a week, going 2-4, being unable to beat the expert, even with his first ever historic tiebreaker advantage. But now, it's a new week, there's a new guest, and a new chance to beat the expert. So guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. No need for an introduction. You guys know who I am. Miguel Romanello, defensive coordinator, the only historic franchise undefeated, never lost. I'm not even going to argue about how historic we are. We're just the most historic franchise. Excited to give the expert a beating. Let's do this. It's kind of late. Some of these matches are so boring that they're putting me to bed already.
Hey, you know what? I think this is a very, very good week for matchups. I'll say it now. There's a couple a couple stinkers out there, but overall, great week for the league. Great week for the NFL, and great week for the league.
It's a good match. There's some good matchups, but when you're 2-8, you can't really. I don't know. You kind of just check out. You try to go all in. It's let's not turn this into a therapy session. I need to keep my confident facade going.
All right, first up, we have the Coochie Gang taking on Blood, Sweat, and Beers. Blood, Sweat, and Beers favored at 66%. This is one not not a lot to care about in this matchup. Both teams seem like they're pretty solidly outside of the playoff picture, and both I think are probably just going to be looking to offload some assets before the ever approaching trade deadline and trying to keep their max points for as low as possible. Really, just a disappointing season for both teams. I think they might have had some expectations coming in. Currently, we had the TNN number crunchers come in, crunch the numbers through week 9, and these are the bottom 2 teams in the power rankings. Since both of these teams are going to be looking towards the future, I recommend we do as well. I'm going to go with Blood, Sweat, and Beers, keeping this one nice and short.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I had a lot of joking around and taking shots at these guys, but apparently all my episodes are too long. So I'm gonna try and keep this one quick. The one thing I have to say, I think both these teams have not done a good job in tanking enough this year. I know that Tom must have had a good roster coming into the year, and it kind of looked like he could compete. But at this point, just trade everything you have for pennies on the dollar. Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, Alex Madison, all these they're not going to be worth it anything next year. So just get rid of them. Same with Jacob, but Jacob doesn't even have anybody to deal. Maybe like Aaron Jones, who he told me this year.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara too. Yeah, that's fair. Alvin Kamara is a little bit nicer. Earlier this year, when I was talking to Jacob, he told me he'd probably be able to get a first for Aaron Jones later in the year. And I told him there's no way.
I've heard Jacob's asking prices are very high right now. So we'll see if he comes down a bit before the trade deadline.
I mean, they always are, unless he's getting Jamar Chase for Brian Burns and wait, Chris, unless he's getting Jamar Chase and Brian Burns for Chris Carson, he's not pulling the trigger on any deals. So yeah, just I don't know, get rid of Amari Cooper, get rid of your running backs, just do it early because you're in the same competition to deal Derrick Henry as Aaron Jones. So just I don't know, just do it for like a second or a third. That's all I have to say. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about making a pick. I was just thinking about doing whatever. What did you pick?
Blood, Sweat, and Beers in this one.
I'm going with. I'll go with the Coochie Gang, I guess.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I'll tell you what. Would you be okay with me changing this pick at the end of the episode if I want?
Yeah, sure, I'll allow it. Why not?
We'll see. We'll see. Because I don't want to have an even number of different.
Smart, very smart.
For the time being, that's my pick.
All right, I'll allow it. Next up, we have Slob taking on Team Big Chungus 22. Slob currently a narrow favorite in this one at 51%. Miguel, who do you like in this matchup?
This matchup to me, it's kind of weird because I'll just say right now I'm going with Slob. But I think Slob should be selling his team, or Matt or Newt, who calls him Matt. Newt should be selling his team, and Will should be buying pieces. Just from the way that the year started off, Will has had a lot of luck. Tyreek has been going off, and his time is kind of now. If he doesn't win with Tyreek, I don't see him winning at all. So I think he should be, even though I think he's going to lose because he's not going to do that before the week starts. I think he should be buying things. Will, go on sleeper, dude. I'm not even. I was going to air some dirty laundry here.
Do it, please. This is what the fans tune in for.
Tell me if you think this is a decent trade-off. I offered in Chris Godwin. Levante David has been going off this year. I'm not sure if you know that. He's been going crazy. I think he's averaged like 16, 17 points a game, and a second for his first next year. I think the trade would virtually guarantee a spot in the playoffs, especially he's like 6-3 now. And he doesn't even look at freaking sleeper. I don't know what to say. I'm open to counters. I'm trying to help him out. I don't even know what to say.
I think that's actually not a bad trade for Will.
I think it's like the Sconties of. I think it was like my second too, which is going to be an early second. So
Yeah, but I mean, his first could be an early first, and I'm sure that's what you're counting on.
no, I think it's just going to be a deep draft for wide receivers, and I just want some middling picks. Since I like Joe's, I seriously think he's probably making the playoffs because there was such a disparity between the top teams and the bottom teams in terms of records. So that's what I think. Will, I feel like this is the only way that I can reach out to you where you actually listen to what I have to say. So this is me grasping at straws. Nuge, I think you should be selling everything you have because you actually have quite a bit of a good backbone in your team. But I don't think people like Eckler and who else I like Jordan Poyer, Mike Evans, or like Lockett are going to be that valuable next year. You don't have a chance of winning this year. I don't think you even control your own destiny. So even though I think you're going to win because neither of these owners are going to take my advice, I think you should sell. And I think, Will, you should buy Chris Godwin and Levante David in a second.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. This is look, Big Chungus was not able to get it done against Hammond Throw last week. And now they're currently sitting in the 7th spot on the outside of the playoffs looking in. Slob season is a done. There's like this tiny chance if they win out. But like you said, I don't know if they control their own destiny. Getting a win against Big Chungus would go a long way for them, but I don't know if this is a team that really should be trying to make that push. People may be overlooking the fact through week 9, Big Chungus is the luckiest team in the league by far. This is an absolutely terrible team. This team, look, I had the TNN number crunchers come in. This team is so bad that they should have a worse record than undefeated never lost. I'm just going to let that sit for a second. Let everybody think about that. Big Chungus, who has one game outside of the playoffs, should have a worse record than undefeated never lost, a 2-win team. Last week, Will was in the playoffs, and now he is the very proud owner of 1-1 in next year's draft. Very curious to see how the rest of the season plays out for him. Will does get the Eagles players back, but this is still a team that has to rely on Miles Sanders in their starting lineup. Do not think it's going to be enough to get it done. I'm going to go with Slob to pick up the win here.
Yeah, I'm not very surprised by that stat because I don't know. It's been a rough year, guys. It's been a rough year.
Undefeated never lost, unluckiest team in the league so far.
Yeah, so it's great, and I'm on the hot seat.
All right, next up we have Hammond Throw taking on Team M Vanek. Team M Vanek favored at 59%. It is currently week 11, and Team M Vanek is the sole team atop the Big Four division at 7-3. Some out there are really questioning Brett's decision in the division draft, taking Team M Vanek as a clear number 1 first overall pick. Now that team seems like they're probably locked into the playoffs. This team has had a great turnaround. This is really showing how you go and rebuild a team in this league. Is it due to some lucky draft picks working out after Bijan, like Tank Dell? Yeah, very likely. But
Sam Laporta.
Yeah, Sam Laporta. But that's how fantasy goes sometimes. And I'm going to give Team M Vanek the benefit of the doubt. The luck has translated very well to the fantasy field this season. Hammond Throw, they were able to pick up a win last week against a very depleted Big Chungus team, which I'm sure for Hammond Throw is like winning the Super Bowl. Unfortunately for them, they're going to run into a very solid Team M Vanek this week in a matchup that could actually have big playoff implications. I told Visconti last week to enjoy me picking his team, and I would like to announce that I'm officially back on the hate Hammond Throw train. Not that I ever got off. It was more like a very short pause. I'm going to go with Team M Vanek to pick up the win easily in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I don't think it's going to be easily, to be honest. These are two kind of under the radar teams. Like you said, Team Advantage has a really good record. They're top of their division, but no one seems to be talking about them at all.
Yeah.
Even though their record is good, I feel like people underestimate how good they are because you can have a good record and not be a good team.
They were terrible last year. I think people are still holding on to that thought into this year.
Yeah, I guess, but they're not. They are not a big Chungus 7-3 team. They actually have the second most points for in the league right now, and it's been pretty consistent. They don't have any massive ups and downs or anything like that. Hamilton also has quite a bit of a better team than it looks like, especially when you look at the roster. In terms of points forward, they're much closer to teams like the SWAT team, and like Mental Brick Walls than like people that I would have thought like Undefeated Never Lost and Blood, Sweat, and Beers. So even though you look at the roster and it looks like they have Jordan Addison and that's kind of it, the team's actually kind of good. It's still hard to actually be interested in this matchup because their lineups are so bad. Do I care about like Tyler Boyd and AJ Dillon? No, I don't think so. Really. So I don't know. Am I going to look at their matchups and like their stats? I'm probably not. So I'm just going to go with Team Vanek here because I think Hammond throws in a really bad bye situation. They have 13 buys this week. I don't think I've ever seen that many happen, and I'm surprised Visconti has not complained about that yet. Maybe by the time this video comes out, he will complain about it. So
we should add a couple more roster spots for when people have to face the bye. As soon as the bye week starts to hit, everyone gets an extra 5 roster spots.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as they should. Waivers are going to be really fun after that. But never mind. I was gonna point out the fact that I started abusing the IR slots after Visconti recommended it. So I had like 2 random ass. I had like Zach Ertz or something, and then I'm gonna drop him as soon as he comes off IR. But just annoy him, but he didn't bite. But yeah, I'm just gonna go with
Brown here. Great pickup.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you know me. We could be starting Chase Brown at this point. We're starting Chuba Hubbard, so you never know. But yeah, I'm going Vanek here. Oh, and also, once again, I am on the program, and I wanted to look at the Hammond Throw. What did I call it? Mediocrity 5th place award.
Yes.
Last week, and once again, I will be damned. Hang the banner. Hammond Throw won the award. So congratulations, Hammond Throw. I'm so excited to see you lose in the first round of the playoffs, and then get the 7th pick in the draft or something.
As another congratulations to Team Hammond Throw, currently 5th place in the TNN Power Rankings, facing everybody every week. 5th place.
That is so bad.
Next up, we have Undefeated Never Lost taking on JK. We're still Mahorny. Undefeated Never Lost favorite at 62%. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think this is going to be actually no. I don't think it's going to be necessarily close. I want to make a question to apparently the stats team is on call today from how much we've been referencing them. Do you know the power ranking difference between Undefeated Never Lost and Mahorny?
They're pretty close. I will. You know what? I will actually pull it up real quick. I have it at my fingertips here.
Please do. While you're speaking, I will actually say the difference in points for season long. So we're talking about like 1,900 points or so between these two teams is 0.1 points. These teams are pretty much neck and neck in terms of how well they have performed so far. Did you get the information?
I got it. Yeah, we currently have JK as 7th in the power rankings and Undefeated Never Lost as 9th in the power rankings.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay. Should be right around 500, and Undefeated Never Lost slightly below 500 based on if they played everybody every week. Pretty close.
Yeah, I think
8 games separate them out of 99. It's updated through week 9.
There you go. I think it's kind of close. I think Undefeated Never Lost has been kind of underestimated this year. I think the TNN producers have brought this to light the past 2 weeks, which I really do appreciate. But even so, I am incredibly high on Mahorny. I think that now that Brees has been unleashed and some other players are coming back, Cooper Kupp is back and Matt Stafford's going to be coming back, some players like that. This is a team that if they get into the playoffs, I believe that they could be making the finals and they could be winning the whole thing. That's all I'm going to say. People underestimate how good their defense is. They right now hold the second, 7th, 9th, and 28th best defensive linemen in fantasy this year.
Wow.
This clears both Commissioner Tucha's team and Grayson's team, by the way, which is pretty insane. He's getting Cooper Kupp back. Their flex spots are great. I think this rally into the playoffs starts right now, unfortunately for us, and he's going to beat us. And I'm going with Mahorny this one. And I'm going to say they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to get to the finals. It's my sleeper pick.
Wow, bold pick. So if you were Joe right now, would you be buying going into the trade deadline?
I don't even think he has to. To be fair, he's given up quite a few of his assets for the next few years in the Brees Hall trade. I haven't had that much of a deep look at his team. I don't know where he can really improve that much. Saquon has been kind of a disappointment, but you never know, he can come back. I think just write it out, to be honest. I think he still has a really good chance of maybe at like linebacker or something. I don't remember whether there's linebackers that could. But yeah, I don't even think he has to buy. I think he's well positioned to be better teams in the league.
Yeah, it's JK, they've had just an absolutely brutal season, like you said. This team definitely came in with some high hopes. Their 120-point performance, where they got doubled up by the SWAT team last week, surely was not great for team morale. May have been the final nail in their coffin. Saquon and Brees, two of their big pieces, both are tied to pretty putrid offenses right now. Obviously, love the talent, hate the current situation. I agree with you, Miguel. I still think this JK team can be good, and they're certainly going to be one of my big bounce back candidates for next year. But this year, I'm a little less optimistic. I think it may be a wash for them. For undefeated, never lost. What is there even to say about this historic franchise? Big win last week against the Brick Walls to improve to 2-8. I can just visually see the meme of the guy celebrating like crazy while standing on like the 10th place podium. Huge win for undefeated, never lost. Some have been saying that undefeated, never lost, historic defensive coordinator has been on the hot seat with all of these big trades, but I'm going to say I can actually see the vision. Mm-hmm. So long as Ayuk, Judy, JSN, Olave, and of course Kyle Pitts all pan out and keep producing, the team may be decent enough to justify all of those first round picks that they gave up. I think undefeated, never lost may actually stand a chance this week, but I'm sure that JK and Brandon Cooks are going to show up and show out in this classic rivalry game, and I'm going to go with JK to pull out the win in this one.
Yeah, it's not only Brandon Cooks, but actually it's the Brees Hall, Brandon Ayuk, Hollywood Brown revenge game, and obviously Brandon Cooks, but I don't care about him anymore.
Hey, man, he almost put up 30 last week, so maybe you should care about it.
Sure.
Moving on, we have the SWAT team taking on the mental brick walls. SWAT favored in this one at 63%. This one could be very big for the playoff positioning. I think these two teams are both really solid, but probably a tier down from the top contenders of the league. The brick walls really backed me up on my narrative last week. This is a team that just cannot seem to get it done unless they have that chip on their shoulder. They really should have beaten undefeated, never lost. But look, when this team's favorited, they come up short, and that's what they did last week. Their matchup with SWAT, though, should be much more even. So we're going to see how the brick walls respond to the adversity, see how they rally. For SWAT, they had a really big week last week, sending a message around the league. There's still a team that they need to be worried about. I think a lot of people have been a little bit lower on the SWAT team this year. They put up 250 last week, and this team's looking pretty good going down the stretch. As I've mentioned before, TNN Power Rankings. This is the top 3 team. They're right there behind Timmy and Grayson. I think it's actually a pretty good position for them, higher than they were at the end of last year when they went on their championship run. They had a big bump from getting Debo and David Montgomery back last week. I'm expecting them to keep the momentum going. I'm going to pick the SWAT team to pick up the win here.
That's good analysis. I think I am quite surprised by how low people are on both these teams, to be honest. I think the Brick Walls are really an under the radar team.
Yeah.
I think for a few reasons they haven't made any like flashy all in moves like the Bandits, like Mahorny, like Judon, like the Noodles. And they obviously haven't had like the dominance of SWAT teams, so people kind of don't really treat them as contenders. But I don't know. When you look at their offense, it is the best in the league. I would say potentially actually better than the Bandits. I mean, we have like Diggs, Amon Ra, like Pittman, Kittle, which is an elite tight end, which the Bandits don't have, and then like a few other people.
Kenneth
They
Walker.
have exactly, yeah, they have elite running backs, potentially the best running back room in the league, especially now that Devon Achane is coming back.
Yeah.
This is an insanely good offense, and Terry McLaurin as well, which is like the epitome of underrated. I think he's like wide receiver like 20 or something this year. So the defense is very lackluster though, but I think that is something that he is able to, especially since he hasn't made any moves yet. Go out, make a splashy deal one of these flex people that he isn't even starting because of how deep he is with like a Christian Watson, and you can get back. I don't know. I'm not even going to suggest. I was going to suggest someone on my own team, but that would seem like an infomercial. Someone that would really improve, maybe Levante David, something like that. That is cheap because he's like 31, but he's going off, or like a Joey Bosa, something like that. But it doesn't have to be from me; it can be from anybody else. And I seriously think this is my second big prediction. I think if they are on opposite sides of the bracket, and Brett makes a move to improve his ID spots before the end of the year, this will be the finals matchup against Mahorny. It'll be mental brick walls versus Mahorny in the finals. But Brett still has work to do before that happens. That being said, I am going with the mental brick walls this week.
Wow. Good pick. Bold championship prediction too, coming out at week 11.
I am high on these teams. They look really, man. I don't know why Brett was so down on his team when he came on TNN. It looks, I think they look awesome.
I agree.
I feel like listening to UNL is just is like a kick to the nuts, but but especially when like Chris Olave went off. But yeah, I don't know. I think all you need is like a linebacker and like some defensive linemen, and yeah, it'll be great.
I mean, the brick walls are going to be in the playoffs, and you know, when you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. So
yeah,
always a chance.
Sure.
Finally, we have our marquee matchup of the week: the Judon Noodles taking on the Texarkana Bandits. Bandits currently favorited in this one at 51%. Who do you like here?
Obviously, this is a great matchup. I think this is, in general, the consensus finals preview, although obviously that's not what I think. From my understanding, these are 1 and 2 in the power rankings that we said.
Yes, they are.
So
they're actually tied in the power rankings right now.
Oh, really? Wow, that is very interesting. Yeah, the Bandits have looked beatable recently. Obviously, they had a few bye weeks that were pretty detrimental, especially with the Eagles not playing. I think the Cowboys might have had a bye week a couple of weeks ago. I'm not really sure. Even at full strength, Tony Pollard hasn't been. I think like redraft leagues, he was like the RB 4 or 5 supposedly this year at the start of the year, and he really hasn't lived up to that standard.
Yeah,
Puka has made up for that by himself, and AJ Brown has been insane. So
Puka been a good offense. Been that great lately.
Yeah, I guess, but Stafford is coming back, which is why I think. Yeah, it seems like as soon as Stafford comes back, they have like 2 wide receiver ones in their team, and then it's not. It's just it's a crap show. So I don't know. But I expect them to come back a little bit. Yeah, I'm curious to see, especially for the Bandits, whether they end up going with Kyler from now on, or they just stick to Goff because Goff has been pretty decent.
Yeah.
Especially this week, Goff has a matchup against the Bears. So it looks, at least from the time being, that Grayson's going to be starting Goff. But I'm kind of curious what he's the rest of the season. I don't really have much else to say. Everybody knows these teams. Everybody knows they're good. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be contending. I think Timmy could improve some spots on defense, but my intel is that he's working on that, and he could probably get that patched up by this week, if not very soon. I'm sure he'll make some moves before the playoffs to get some linebackers and potentially some defensive line help.
Yeah, I think Levante David could look very good as a Judon Noodle.
Yeah, Levante David, depending on whether Will wakes up, is very potentially going to be a noodle at some point soon. So yeah, I'm just putting that out there. If anybody else is interested, please reach out. He's going pretty cheap, man. He's like 31 or 32, but he's been going off. That's all I have to say. I'm going with the Noodles. I'm assuming you're going to go with the Bandits. I don't know where that puts us in terms of evens and odd.
You can never assume. You can never assume.
I can make as much of an ass out of you and me as I want. I'm pretty sure you're going to be picking the Bandits. All I want to say after making this pick is that Trayvon Walker, I wrote something that I'm going to stick exactly to what I wrote down, is completely mid and would be on waivers untouched if he were not drafted first overall. He is the second best edge rusher in his team after Josh Allen, who is with Horny. That being said, he will probably just Tennessee O-line because everybody does. So I don't want to so I don't want to hear anything about me making him mad. If he gets below 1.5 sacks against a team that gives up almost 4 a game, Grayson should be disappointed. That's all I'm gonna say. I understand that this is hypocritical coming from a Will Anderson owner right now, but no one is talking up Will Anderson every single TNN episode, and he's still a rookie. Trayvon Walker is so mid. He's worse than Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm gonna say that. And soon enough, he's gonna be, if not on the bench. I'll tell you what, Grayson is only starting him because he knows that he's probably going to be able to win these matchups with him anyways. But once the playoffs come, I know he's going to be on the bench. And now I dare him to put it on his lineup. I'm telling you, dude, he's not going to be in the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say.
Look, I'll say it. If the Bandits win the championship without Trayvon Walker in their starting lineup, put an asterisk on it. That's
absolutely
not a real championship.
Absolutely. Yep.
As far as Trayvon Walker is concerned, getting into this matchup, Trayvon Walker, look, Miguel, you're a fan of the show. You know that I'm high on the Bandits. And Trayvon Walker showed off the true fullness of his game last week by picking up a big pass defended and showing that he is so much more than someone who only gets after the quarterback. This is a team, they got a big win last week, even during the Eagles' bye week. Huge for their season, especially when they've had the SWAT team nipping at their tail in the division. This is a team that's got to keep their eye on the ball in this big marquee matchup. For Judon, this team scraped a win against a very middling blood, sweat, and beers team last week. Before they were on a 2-game losing streak, it really makes you question if this is that classic part of the year where Timmy's team starts to choke. This is obviously a huge marquee matchup with the two presumed title frontrunners. And this could be a potential preview of the championship. But the Judon Noodles, they got to prove that they can actually get there and not choke. I'm on the train, still not getting off. Give me the Bandits to pick up the win. Well, Miguel, thank you so much for being on the show this week. I'm wishing you all the best of luck with your picks. Of course, not as good as me, can't beat the expert, but it's been great to have you on. And I look forward to seeing you back here on the show in the future.
Hold up, we were different by 3, right?
I think so.
Yeah, we're different by 3. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to kick your ass.
We'll see.
We're going to go 3-3. I'm going to go 6-0. It's going to be beautiful. Thank you. That's what I meant to say. So thank you, host. I'm a big fan.
again, thank you, Danny Football and guest Miguel, for those great picks. That's all we have for you this time. Be sure to tune in next week to see how things shook out. I'm your host, and this has been TNN.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm really curious about these playoff matchups for Trayvon Walker. Let me see. Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and Carolina. Grayson, I dare you to start him against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay sneakily has been giving up like less than 2 sacks a game. I dare you. Oh God, he's gonna start him against Carolina in the final. Carolina's terrible.
He's gonna eat. Trayvon knows. He knows when to show up.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
rigged league.